technology.
Oh, yeah, because technology just basically bent us the fuck over. Why?
Because we didn't have the microphone on. That all of you complain, get a mic. We have a mic.
Yep.
Look, we don't have money. You have a company, you want to send us a mic, send us a mic. We'll sit here and go, mic's brought to you by...
Yeah, and we put your fucking face up in the background.
Mics for the poor. And that goes for any of you. You guys have a t-shirt, a slogan, a picture of someone's mom you want to promote, send it.
Right.
We are whores. At least I am. I'll wear a t-shirt that says IBangedYourMom.com.
Free equipment.
Exactly. Free t-shirts, free necklace. I don't care.
Right.
I'm easy. Ask Jimmy's mom.
Woo!
Yes, Jimmy's here.
Jimmy is back. He has returned.
What's up?
UFC 129.
Canada versus the U.S.
Canada versus the U.S. is basically what it is. There's going to be 12 total matches.
Getting all the Canuckers in there early to drink all that Molson's.
Going to be in there getting fucking
what do you guys drink?
The True North Strong and Free.
Yeah, eat a dick. Anyway.
I didn't say that. But anyway, 7 preliminary fights, 2 which will be on Spike TV, and those 2 fights will be welterweight bouts against Nate Diaz versus Rory McDonald and Sean Pearson versus Jake Ellenberger. Okay, real quick, what's your feeling on these 2 fights?
Diaz, I think, is going to take it, and the other fight, I honestly, who fucking cares?
Yep.
I just flipped the coin, and I'm going with Pearson.
Who do you have, Ellenberger or Pearson?
Pearson.
I bet you guys want to know who the fuck that was.
Jimmy's dad.
Jimmy's dad is in the studio.
Yes.
Now,
it's a family affair here.
It's a family... Oh, stop singing. Anyway, let's move on to the main card, which everybody is watching this shit
versus
for.
Ben Henderson.
Yes, Bocek versus Ben Henderson.
Bocek, whatever. I got Henderson knocking this cat out.
I got to agree with George. I'm going with the Blasian.
Yeah, I think it's Henderson referee stoppage.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you guys think Bocek is a contender?
No.
Yeah.
That's pretty easy.
And I'm going to tell you what. Do you?
You know, if he wins this fight, I would say yes. But as of right now, he's got 1 good win over Hazlett. I mean, Jim Miller is
tough.
On the roll.
That motherfucker's got a motor, boy.
So.
Right.
And you're right. I jumped to the gun. If Bocek wins this, it thrusts him right into the lightweight contendership.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to.
Okay. Now I'm going to start naming all fighters, and you guys can start counting.
Well, that's a heavy division.
Henderson.
1.
Bocek. 2. Pettis.
3.
Edgar.
4.
Hazlitt.
5.
Maynard.
6. Melendez if he comes over.
Melendez.
Yeah, there's.
You're looking at 7 bad motherfuckers.
Yeah. But you're also looking at 7
Wasn't
guys.
there a movie, a western like that called
Significant 7 or Magnificent?
I said Significant. Was Clint Eastwood? Hey, was Clint Eastwood in that?
I don't know.
He's like the guy in the closet. You guys just want to know who that is. It's Jimmy too.
But the nice thing is about being at this lightweight, these guys can go up and down weight pretty easy, I would think. Well, not pretty easy, but I mean, there's lots of wiggle room for these guys.
I got Henderson. I just think that he just doesn't get submitted. Bocek has been submitting guys as of recent. He's won 4 out of his last 5. He had an impressive win over Hazlitt, but I don't think it's going to happen with Henderson.
Now,
I've spoken.
We're waiting on Jimmy to tell us what he thinks about the fight.
No, I mean, I already said Henderson. I think it's going to be a referee stoppage.
Yeah.
Now, this should be interesting to see how this goes. Because when we talked about this before, I thought we spent way too much time on it. Because there's 2 people here, one you can't see and one sadly you can see, who thinks that somebody could resurrect their career off this fight. Or put them in contention.
Look,
contention
George,
for what?
Huh?
Contention for what?
So, what we were saying is this, okay? We're talking about the Randy Couture versus the Lyoto Machida fight, okay? My question was, is Randy Couture a legitimate 205? You know, I mean, light heavyweight contender. Now, I simply asked George the question, if Couture, you know, if Machida does not drink his piss, and he slips up, and Couture beats him, okay? Does that make him a really good 205? I mean, does that put him in run to be one of the better light heavies?
I think Randy Couture is a really good fighter no matter what weight he fights at. As for his contendership, I think even Randy will say making a run for the 205 belt is probably not in the cards right now.
Right.
He is too old. His career, he has nothing to prove to anyone.
No, he definitely doesn't.
And in my opinion, he will get annihilated by the top 2 or 3 205 guys. And Machida's not.
If he wins this fight, I think it maintains him in that he can still fight and he can still be on pay-per-view cards, and there's still fights out there for him. But if he loses...
Wait, whoa. Pump your motherfucking brakes. There's still fights out there for him?
Who wouldn't want to see him fight Rich Franklin?
But
I mean, from a marketability standpoint?
Am I making money off of it? Fuck no.
He's
paying $70 so I can watch it. I don't want him to spend his money on me watching this old motherfucker fight anymore.
I'm looking out for him.
I am.
In that regard.
He's looking out for me? Hold up, sure. You're going 90 in the school zone.
Yeah.
Full roll. This motherfucker ain't looking out for me. He's like this. He's like this. Hey guys, what's going on? Jimmy bought the pizza. Where am I sitting, motherfucker? Well, right there in your normal corner, George.
How does he get here?
Huh?
How did he get here?
Yeah, you know what? You know what, guys? I really got carried away.
That's motherfucking Barwood, Bedford outside. I drive this.
Barwood, Bedford.
Yeah, I drive this cheapskate almost 90% of the places he goes. Fucking Friday through Sunday.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
His Jaguar drives 3.5 miles.
What does that do for me in my wallet?
It brings you food, motherfucker. So
you don't
calm
even
down,
bring me a candle.
We bring you a candle.
He talks about I would use electricity. I have candles up in this motherfucker.
I'll talk to the water company saying turn it on for
right.
me.
You know what I'm saying?
You want to know why? Because the guy who runs the water company, his last name's Epstein.
Oh snap!
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
but
the other thing that Jimmy and Kevin brought up is I'd love to see Randy Couture fight fucking Rampage Jackson. Dude, it'd be a wheelchair match. They'd be out there with fucking kendo sticks, fucking wheeling themselves down to the ring.
Rampage Jackson is young. He's 30.
Shorty.
30, 31.
Shorty. Is Shogun young?
Well, yeah,
No,
I know.
no.
In
It's Shogun
fighting
young.
He's
terms,
got a lot of wear on him.
Right. Is Fedor young?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Not after
No.
this.
Because they
Is
fought
Dan
in Pride.
Henderson young?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, by
They
number.
re-energized him.
Stop. Somebody in Japan just fucking went, oh shit! Dude, these guys might be 30, 36, and yes, by number-wise, they're young.
George is the one that just told me last week it's too early for Japanese jokes. So what do? You talk about the H-bomb.
He said H-bomb. I didn't. I'm thinking
every time
Hiroshima
you say
just got blown up again.
You got to send another donation.
I don't have but so many computers.
Well, you send another donation. Anyway, go ahead.
No, what I'm saying is, okay.
Cameras too.
These guys might be young by number, but their bodies are not young.
No, you're right.
Rampage has fought 3-4 times in a night, multiple. I mean,
shit, make it an ambulance match. I don't fucking care.
Right. And like we've all said, the guys who fought over in Pride when they're doing those several matches and like that does take a toll on your body. But I just said that I would think people, if Machida wins the fight, which he's the favorite,
and Machida has more to lose. If
for sure.
If Machida loses this fight, I said on the previous 17 tapings of this is the tipping point in his career.
Right. It is the tipping point. Right. Anyway, now I will say this: Machida is at I think a lot of people won't, realize this, but the two people that Couture has lost to in his career, in more the prime of his career at light heavy, were two strikers, Liddell twice and Belfort. And he's going up against a guy who is a great striker and a very unorthodox
great with those leg
striker.
kicks.
Yeah, he's very unorthodox. So anyway, we'll see what fucking happens. Now, let's move on to possibly one of the biggest and most anticipated fights of all the year. That would be Vladimir Matyshenko versus Jason Brills. Are you high?
Stand up express right here. Stand up battle.
I'm feeling a little bit dizzy and shit.
I'm not sure why Randy Couture fights before this one. I really have no clue. I don't know why.
Who fucking cares?
Wow.
The owl has spoken.
Yeah, I would rather see the Diaz fight on the main pay-per-view card.
I'd rather see a replay of the Nick Diaz Paul Daly fight.
Right.
Yeah, that was great.
The bottom line is they just threw this in to fill in for Phil Davis and Matt Hamill, and now they tried to make that was supposed to be
He missed the call. He missed the call.
Huh? Right.
Dude, Matt Hamill jokes are okay. Seriously, calm down.
Get over it, man. We crack on everybody, man. That's why I'm gonna make a song.
Huh?
I'm not going to tell you guys what the song I'm going to make. We're just going to
Don't worry, he's not going to hear it.
Yeah, Jesus.
Anyway, these guys got thrusted into a position, in my opinion. Neither one of them deserved to be in this card slot.
Yeah.
I hope you guys understand the opportunity you're given and come out and put on a show. Because let me tell you, if this fight goes the distance, it better be because you guys were standing there beating the shit out of each other for 15 minutes.
Yeah, and it's unbelievable how they market fights because one of the things is that market fights just in general. Like
I wouldn't go watch these guys fight in a fish market.
And, obviously any guy that fights, they're a professional, but you throw these guys in at the last second, you're like, oh, we've got this grizzled veteran against this promising young fighter. Now, Jason Brills, has been fighting since 2000. He is fucking 35 years old, and he lost 2 out of his last 3. How's that promising?
Because he's in contention for the heavyweight title.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Denny's fights might call him up.
Yeah.
Denny's they've got a good card coming up.
I'm sorry, not heavyweight, light heavy. Well, he's in contention in shark fights for the light heavyweight title. I have fucking no clue. Look, no disrespect to either one of you. In my opinion, the UFC's putting you two gentlemen in a fucked up position, and you better put on a show.
Yeah, it's an opportunity.
It is an opportunity.
Exactly, because if not, they own Strikeforce.
Yeah.
So, and you guys really don't like to stand up and punch.
Yeah.
So you
Get Bellator's number.
Now, speaking of Strike Force and WEC and the migration of everybody or any type of federation or fucking organization or anything that's
Jose
now
Aldo's going to win this by second
umbrellaed
round.
under the UFC.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Including our brothel houses, but brothel.
So is a brothel? Is that like a brothel and a Waffle House?
Yeah, man.
Chicken
So you
and
start
waffles.
having shark fights in the parking
Chicken
lot.
and waffles.
So chicken, waffles,
Brothel.
and vagina. I mean, this man said brothel.
Sex and waffles, all you want. But anyway,
Wow.
the featherweight championship.
We're trademarking that shit.
Yeah.
Sex and waffles.
Brothel, sex and waffles.
Can I wear the waffle like a
George's and Kevin's brothel house, run by Jimmy.
Just bring your
this guy.
Just bring your Jimmy and your cat.
Right. Now, the featherweight championship is going to obviously
Jose Aldo versus Mark
Hominick,
Hominick.
or Hominick Rich, as the brother would say.
Hominick's what, on a 5-fight win streak?
I
think so. Is that what I said?
I think it is. Yeah. Now the bottom line is how you guys think Aldo's going to do in the UFC?
Aldo's going to fucking put on a show.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be faced fighting the UFC. He's going to come out and wreck this cat.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to tell you the reason they did this and put this particular match was because the fight's obviously in Canada, but. You know, I hate to say to our Canadian fans out there,
You think he's getting fed to a wolf?
Can you decipher that for me?
Yeah,
that's
in other words,
that
that
means
means.
one eye.
Yeah, right.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway, I think that's going to end pretty quickly.
Hopefully Aldo comes out and puts on a show.
Yeah.
Shows the world what he can do, because I mean, for you WEC guys, you got to realize you're now in the UFC. You're going to be playing by the UFC rules, which means basically 3 and you're out.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think Aldo's going anywhere, but it's a different mindset in the UFC. You have to come out and put on a show. You have to win. This going to the cards for the casual MMA fan, i.e. the people who are showing up and paying fucking God's fucking ransom to watch your show. You got to make them happy.
You got to make them happy. Now, I'm going to tell you something. With all that being said, with the migration of the WEC into the UFC, finally, it has been very successful for the WEC fighters. I mean, they've done well. Donald Cerrone, all these guys have been.
Dana's got to be fucking happy.
He's got to be happy as shit because the WEC fighters have been fucking kicking some ass.
And if these little guys continue to do what they're doing, you could possibly see them. I mean, look, we've had Maynard and Edgar. They're headlining the UFC, which, I mean, let's face it, up until this point, you normally, just like boxing, you have the heavyweights and the bigger guys because you think, oh, it's going to be great. But now you're seeing that these little guys can do the same thing, and now they're going to have an opportunity if they persist with this to actually like mainline.
And that's going to be a
BJ
good.
Penn before in the lighter divisions that could headline anything.
And that's going to be a good fucking trilogy. That third fight's going to be nasty. I know you guys don't agree with me and stuff like that, but I mean, just I want to see it. I mean, I don't want to see it as much as I would like to see some of the heavier classes, some of the good matchups, but. Yeah, I think at first I said I wouldn't pay for that fight to see Edgar and Maynard. I'd pay for it, and you know, seeing that I paid for it, you get.
We'll be here.
We'll
be
here. Yes. No, you don't, bitch. Anyway, everybody's waiting for the welterweight championship, and yes, this does pit the two best welterweights in my opinion right now in the world today, and that's George St-Pierre versus Jake Shields. Some people are going to say Nick Diaz and stuff like this.
You know,
I would too, but he's not.
But what's unfortunate is we'll never see Nick Diaz or is it Nick? Yeah, Nick.
Yeah, Nick.
We'll never get to see Nick fight Jake Shields because they're out of the same camp. And unlike other people, they just I'd love to see it.
Really?
Now,
I'd love to see that fight, and then the winner of that gets to fight GSP. I mean, to me, those are your top 3 out of
do you
Bucks
know
featherweight.
there's talk of Nick Diaz trying to fight Sergio Martinez? Now,
dude, he's supposed to fight.
I thought it was Fernando Vargas.
I heard Sergio Martinez. It could be. I'll have to look, but Sergio Martinez is fucking nasty. I'm going to tell you what, Rick. If Nick Diaz jumps in the boxing ring against Sergio Martinez, he will be
snoring.
Yeah, with a big fucking slob coming out of the side of his mouth and fucking some Lunesta fucking shorts, because that'll be a sponsor. So be sleeping. Now, do you think everybody out there watching, and of course George and Jimmy, the GSP and the Shields fight, do you think it will be a boring fight? I just want a straight up answer.
Right. I'm going to get to this first because then I'm going to do a little research real quick. Does it have potential on paper to be a boring fight? Yes, because GSP, in my opinion, is going to do what GSP does best, and that's win. You can't take that away from him. And for me, to see him winning this fight, to keep his distance and pepper the shit out of him. Because if he takes this guy down, and Jimmy will tell you, Jimmy likes to look at GSP and says he gets those late round takedowns to pad the points.
Oh, who wouldn't?
That might have been. I'm not gonna.
That might be the gayest answer I've ever heard.
Just say it the right way because you get $100,000 fine.
Right. That. Wow. Anyway, what I'm getting at is the way I see this
He
fight.
didn't have 100,000.
Who does it? As the fucking table goes.
Wow.
I mean, did you hear his voice?
GSP is going to keep his distance and pepper this dude for 5 rounds. The only way I see this getting stopped is by the 3rd or 4th round. Jake Shields is like, I'm tired of getting punched in the face. Done.
Right.
That's the way I see it. I don't see GSP going to take this cat down because you could possibly slip up because this man has jiu-jitsu. In other words, he'll be comfortable on his back.
Yeah.
And if GSP goes to get up and doesn't get up quick enough, he might have that little boy wrapped around his ankle going,
Now, GSP is actually giving up a little bit of height. Is he giving up reach? I know he's
No,
giving
his
up
reach
about-
is actually longer. His reach is 76, and I think Shields is a 72. And
Damn,
it's only
GSP's got a 76.
yeah, he's like a gorilla.
He's
Dude.
like a fucking spider monkey. You know what I'm saying?
It's like Dawson from Street Fighter. Look, if you can make comic book references, I can make video game references.
You can make a video.
Oh, you can. That shit
Yeah.
just came from over there.
Anyway,
But no, I think what I'm looking forward to seeing is how much, because I agree with George. I think it's going to be GSP is going to keep it standing.
right.
I'm interested to see how much his stand-up has improved since the Koscheck fight, which his stand-up was good in that one. But
Right.
with GSP, he always seems, when he concentrates on an area and develops it, you seem to see exponential growth in
Right.
that area. And if his stand-up is even better, I could actually see him finishing this fight.
Right.
Potentially in the 1st or 2nd round. But I could also see it going the full distance as
I
well.
agree.
I would love to see the fight be finished.
I agree with you 100% on that. You know, the thing is, I think one of the biggest things with advantage for GSP is one at this for this particular fight is his fucking conditioning and how athletic he is. I mean, if this fight gets into the later rounds, I just think it's going to start to snowball. I mean, really favor GSP. Obviously, like George said, at any point in time when you got someone like we saw with Anderson Silva and Chael Sonnen, he caught him with like fucking 30 seconds left in the fight, put him in submitted him. Obviously, that same thing can happen with Shields. He has the ability to do that because he's great on the ground, but the problem is he's got to get in that position to do that.
And Jake Shields can't get himself into that position. And what I mean by that is Jake Shields does not possess the wrestling ability nor the strength to get GSP down. Now you got to realize this is Shields' second fight at $170. And from what we were told is he had to drop close to 20-25 pounds overnight to make weight last time.
Yeah.
If you come in and do that this time, young man, GSP will finish him.
Now, this is another thing we got to take into consideration. Let's say Shields cuts this weight perfect, okay?
Keeps his strength.
He keeps his strength, cuts his weight perfect, and then he can pop back up and be a much bigger, strong. It might be, and this will definitely be the toughest opponent GSP, in my opinion, has had in a long time. But now all of a sudden he might be actually going up against his strongest opponent because you're looking at a guy that fucking hung in there with Henderson.
Right.
Strength-wise. And Dan Henderson is a strong son of a bitch. So people fail to realize, you got to look at who Jake Shields has beat, who he has handled on the ground.
Who he's even been in the ring with. I mean, granted, a lot of people won't want to give Jake Shields a whole lot of credit for beating Dan Henderson because some people think the fight should have been ended in the first round. But here's the thing. He obviously did enough for the referee to keep him in the match.
Right.
So he's obviously got heart. He knows what he's doing. This isn't his first time. Now, this is going to be his first time fighting on a stage this big because there's, going to be 50,000 people?
Right.
And they're going to be booing the shit out of you.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know how that's going to... I don't know how he is mentally. If he can handle that mentally, then, I mean, this could be a tough fight for GSP.
Yeah.
But I don't think this is the toughest fight out there for GSP.
Yeah. Well, I think the toughest fight at this point in time is going to be him. Now that brings the next question. Okay. If Shields... I mean, if Pierre beats Shields, right, has he earned the right to move up? Like, I mean, now obviously he's earned the right to move up, but, you know, what if Shields wins? What if Shields wins?
Well,
then does GSP...
It depends.
Gotta get a
Honestly,
rematch.
it depends on how the fight goes and if Shields would win. If Shields wins and it's a good, meaning it's a good fight, there may be an immediate rematch because honestly, nobody wants to see GSP go back and fight John Fitch or somebody like that again.
Right. Like, if he beats Shields, basically, I think this is the tipping point for GSP in the welterweight division. I mean, there's no more good fights out there.
Well,
honestly, how long has he been fighting?
Yeah, to be honest, to me, Nick Diaz is the toughest matchup.
Yeah.
Is a worse matchup style-wise
Right.
to me than Jake Shields.
But the problem is just like an Anderson Silva fight. How long is it going to take this fight to materialize?
Well,
Strikeforce contracts are being honored.
And this is where we jump in. Okay, the big rumor is Nick Diaz wants to go into boxing. And I was just reading while they were discussing their opinion is Nick Diaz is looking to get paid. He will not get money in boxing like he would if he decided to fight GSP.
Right.
Period. End of story. If he's looking for a payday, your payday is GSP. Period. Right. Because they were just saying Vargas and this, that, and the other thing, and they're looking to only pay Diaz about $30,000-$40,000 a box. He ain't looking. He's talking about getting paid.
Right.
He's not going to get $400,000 or $500,000. I don't know how much money you think you're going to get the box, and if you find somebody to give you $400,000 a box, by God, young man, go box.
Right.
But in my opinion, your payday is GSP. You want a crossover fight? Diaz versus GSP.
Yeah. Now, with all that being said, if Diaz can win or beat a decent boxer, in that division,
then he has no incentive to come back.
Well, no, he definitely has no incentive to come back because he can be looking at a he'll never get that type of payday in MMA. I mean, if he has to fight a Sergio Martinez, if he can.
And Dana White's got to think about this. Dana White is all about dollars and cents, and let me tell you, a Diaz versus GSP fight, if GSP goes through Shields, it would be amazing because Diaz is going to talk. You think Koscheck talks shit? GSP, you ain't heard nothing. This man will stand in front of you and talk shit to your face.
And if there's one person who that's not going to rattle, in my opinion, it'd be GSP. The man is like a machine.
Maybe.
Watch the primetime series. The man is a machine. He gets up, he trains, he is so focused.
GSP has never had a man stand in front of him 2 seconds before a fight starting telling him, your mother's a whore and I fucked her last night. Would I put that past Diaz? Look, I don't know what you say in the ring, but I don't give a fuck who you are.
And Frank Shamrock said that in the middle of the other fight. It's like he will constantly talk shit. He doesn't
yes, GSP's a machine, but no, until you have been faced with that, you don't know how you're going to react. Because there's no one in training camp right now calling GSP a whore, a bitch, and everything.
GSP has the power of Paul Daly.
We haven't seen it.
Who knows?
Yeah.
If he does, he keeps that shit in the locker room.
Let me tell you,
every fight.
If he does, he should bring it on April 30th because if he does, he'll finish Jake Shields.
I will say this: boxing. If I am boxing someone, okay, and I'm trying to win a boxing match, I'm going to be using my jab. Okay, my best punch is my left hook. Okay, but if I'm trying to stay away from somebody that's a great counter puncher or can get on inside me, I'm going to use the jab all day fucking long to keep them off balance and keep distance. Okay, that all of a sudden just eliminates my knockout power, and that's the way GSP fights. He peppers people. You know what I mean? Daly comes in and works on the inside. I don't think he could. You guys have a really good point. If he fights a guy like Diaz, who's a legitimate, actually you could say he's a legitimate boxer. He's a pro boxer. He can get himself in trouble.
Here's how I see GSP winning that fight: using his speed and quickness. He's not going to use his power because Diaz fights with his hands way the fuck out here, a la Chuck Liddell. So you're leaving all this open. GSP, I could literally see jumping in, going pap pap, and stepping back before Diaz gets a chance to react. Because Diaz likes to do this. I don't think he'll get to him.
Well,
Diaz is long as shit. And Diaz is long, and Diaz does this to judge distance. Because as soon as he gets his hand here, the next thing that's going to happen, this comes right out and sticks you.
Yeah.
Ask fucking Paul Daly.
And the thing about a boxer is GSP's using that, you're seeing GSP in most cases, he's fighting against guys that are very amateurish. Boxing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But now you're facing a guy that's going to look for the openings that you create. He's going to capitalize on that because
he also leaves himself wide the fuck open.
But the problem is he leaves himself wide open. GSP doesn't have a knockout power. That's the problem. He doesn't get inside. He doesn't get inside and fight this fight. Nobody's going to knock you out from here with a jab.
But now,
not GSP especially.
But like we've all said, we watch GSP. He studies his opponent, he finds a weak spot, and then he takes advantage of it.
Right.
If his camp goes in and goes, GSP, if you want to win this fight, you're going to have to get inside, guess what? He's going to get inside.
Right.
And because that's what you have to do. You have to get Diaz away from this getting his power, because like you've said, your power's right there. It's that. So if you get inside of that, he has no chance. And Diaz ain't going to knock you out from right here.
No.
But
Diaz can wrap up and take you to the ground. That's the thing.
Right, but then you get him on the ground, and now you got a guy with a black belt from Caesar.
That's the thing.
Good luck.
Yeah.
To me, you guys, we were talking earlier about GSP, and you guys are basically talking about his, finishing fights and doing things to finish fights. The worst thing for GSP truly is the judges' scorecards. Yeah. Because once he knows he's up, he is going to be even more conservative and is not going to put himself. And that to me is the greatest reason why he doesn't finish a lot of these 5-round fights is because once he gets to the second and third round and he knows he's got a 10-8 round in there, he's like, I'm not pressing shit. I'm just going to stand here. I'll pepper you with my jab.
Way to be a champ.
Well, I'm just telling you. To me, that is his greatest weakness.
That's his corner.
The judges.
That's his corner's fault.
But the problem, if that's the case, if he goes and wins the first 3 rounds against Shields, the bottom line in most cases, and I think most people out there will agree with us, is that he's won the fight.
Right.
Because Shields is not the type of opponent like a Diaz that will say, fuck you, I'm going to come after you and try to take your head off under any circumstances. Or even a Daly. Somebody that's super aggressive on their feet and say, hey, you know what, you don't sit here and pepper me because Shields doesn't have that type of arsenal. So
I think this is going to be a one-sided fight. And then the next biggest fight for GSP, unless he wants to move up to 185 and take your 6 months to a year off because you have to pay your weight the right way, is going to be Diaz. And to me, if Dana White wants to keep Diaz in Strikeforce, get this idea of boxing out of his head as quickly as possible.
And
show him the dollar sign.
He might not do that, though.
Yeah, and everybody always mentions about why there couldn't be a crossover fight because of the Strikeforce contracts. What kind of contract does he have where he can go professionally box?
He's getting ready to redo his contract. That's the whole thing.
So then, if he's ready, if he's in the process of redoing his contract, well, then why couldn't this fight take place?
Dana White
potentially
in
December.
I'm going to tell you what. If I was Dana White, what I would do, and I'm going to tell you if you ever thought about it from this marketing standpoint. Diaz is a mixed martial arts fighter first and foremost. Okay. Now let's say Dana White's had his issues with Nick Diaz. He just sits back and says, let him go box. Okay? Now, if he loses or fucks up, he's still a great MMA fighter. It's no different. But just listen. If Diaz happens to box and fucks somebody up or beats a good contender, now all of a sudden he's got a boxing following. And he says, okay, now I want you to come back and fight GSP or somebody else. Now he's got a worldwide crowd following Diaz back into the MMA arena.
But here's the thing. Who are you dealing with? Who is Dana White dealing with?
What do you mean?
Nick Diaz?
Yeah,
let me tell you right now.
I wouldn't trust that guy with
I just want to see it happen because I want to see it.
Let me tell you from my standpoint. Right. If Nick Diaz Bedford goes out and beats the shit out of some boxer and then a promoter comes at me and says, we're going to give you $500,000 just to get into the ring, and I'm going to look at Dana White and be like, eat a dick. Because I know I'm not going to get hurt that bad boxing compared to what could possibly happen to me in an MMA ring. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
I would tell Dana White, yep, you and GSP have a good day. I'm going to box.
Here's tickets to my next match.
Yeah. So that's the problem. Now, any other fighter, you have a very valid point, but you're dealing with a fighter who would go, fuck you, buddy. And that's exactly what the Diaz would do.
He can say fuck you, buddy, but all of a sudden, say the Fertitas or somebody says, hey, look, we can put this together with Showtime and we can make this a big crossover.
Remember why he's in Strikeforce to begin with.
Yeah.
Because Dana basically gave him his walking papers because he's a loose cannon.
Right.
They already had him.
But the bottom line is this: would you fucking deal with a loose cannon?
No, Dana White doesn't.
No, okay, that's the thing. See, that's where me and Dana White.
I would.
Yeah.
He's going to sell seats and put butts in seats, and I understand that. Dana White doesn't want to have to deal with that headache because here's the other thing: when you are the king and you have every other fighter, what he's looking at this, he's like, "What's one fighter?" Because I have 1,000 of them. That's what Dana White's doing. That's what happens when you fucking have a monopoly. You don't give a fuck anymore. Right. You don't care about the product. That's why we're finding Matyshenko versus shit in a box.
But this is the thing.
That's the best you could do?
Right. But this is the thing. One fighter, like a Diaz right now, if he was a boxer and he crossed over, for example, let's say all of a sudden, where's Chuck Liddell right now? Okay, let's take Chuck Liddell out of MMA. And he never existed. Where would the UFC be?
Out there in the parking lot?
That's one fighter that changed the whole face. Now, but Nick Diaz could be that one fighter. Now, I know Chuck Liddell and Dana White are buddies, but from when you have other people, you're Dana, and I'm everybody around saying, Dana, I know you know what you're doing, but now we can take this to a world level and a more mainstream level, which we've been trying to accomplish for years, just with this crossover event. So he might take it, but he might jump on it.
And obviously, we've seen Dana White's quick to jump, just like I am. Who's
more of a loose cannon, Nick Diaz or Mike Tyson?
Dana White. Dana White's the biggest loose cannon in the possible world. I mean, it's funny to watch him not get along with Nick Diaz and things like that because that's exactly how he is.
Right.
He speaks his mind, which I have a lot of respect for. But look, he sat there and said, no crossover fights. 10 minutes later, Fertitta was like, Dana was like, well, we might.
96% of people said, yeah. He's like, well, I'm saying
plot. I mean, he's a hothead. So, on the surface, I hope he's like, blah, 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 blah. He's like, come, we need to sign Nick Diaz tomorrow.
Right.
Because he's got
a lot of pride, but I'm going to tell you what, his business partners, who are the real money men, will sit back and be like, Dan, I don't care about your pride, because I got a lot of money invested in this, and we're trying to take it to another level, and so they'll. And you know who the best guy out of this right now is? Scott fucking Lazy Eye Coker, looking like Larry Flint. I'm saying.
I got paid.
But anyway,
this
is a long ass show because Kevin's on vacation.
Yes.
Jimmy's banging midget hookers, and his buddy in the corner, his dad, is helping find the midget hookers.
Anyway, we are out. We'll catch you next week.